This is kind of like cancer. This is his words, like ask Corbyn. Hey guys, so today is 28th of November 2017. So let's see how long it takes for me to upload this video. I've been wanting to upload a video like this for a while. This video is about my health. I have had a major year with like health issues and discovering health in a different sort of way. Like last year I was really into going to the gym, eating healthy. I mean, we've seen my channel, we know how much bad food I eat, but mostly I've been dealing with a lot of mental health this year, and there's something pretty major that's coming up really soon that I'm deathly afraid of. But I did want to upload a video just because it has played a major role in my 2017 year, and it's something that I want to look back on in years from now and just be like, well, that's how I was then and this is how I am now and I've come so far. Let's just start with therapy. So this year I made it one of my 2017 goals was to go see a therapist. I've probably been struggling with, and I mean, it's hard for me to talk about it now. I've been struggling with severe anxiety for, I want to say, since I was like 8. My earliest memory of me having like a panic attack was when I was in grade 3 and I ran away from school. I lived in the city and I crossed a major highway to get home because I thought I'd forgot my homework. But then when I got home, my mum told me it was Monday and not Friday, and that I handed in my homework on a Friday, so yeah. But I think it's really escalated in the last 2 years. It's been just getting worse and worse and worse to the point where I don't function. Like I'm fairly highly functional as far as getting my uni stuff done and going to work. But things like filling up the car or going and checking the mail outside, I know it sounds super weird, but some days I can't do it. Like, I will wait until my car is literally empty before I go to the petrol station. And I know that sounds so crazy and that's like normal. Everyone doesn't feel like going to the petrol station, or everyone doesn't feel like going outside every now and again. I think a lot of it does stem from my parents. My mum and my stepdad had a really major car crash a few years ago, and as a result my stepdad passed away. My mum had like 16 broken bones. She had to come and live with me for 3 months so I could look after her, and she hasn't been able to work since. She's fine though. She cooks and cleans for me every time she's home visiting or seeing a specialist, and yeah, she's an amazing mum. My anxiety got worse after that, just because, you know, life is precious. My best friend from high school, he died maybe even a month and a half after that, and that's still really hard for me to talk about. So yeah, I think sort of that brings a shock to the system when you're really close to people and then they suddenly are just not there. Anyway, what I found was that I get a lot of anxiety but not so much depression. And this year I decided to go to a therapist, and I was terrified of going to the doctors and talking about anything to do with my anxiety. And yeah, I went to see a therapist every 2 weeks. With the Australian healthcare system, you get like 10 free sessions before you actually have to pay. So yeah, I found somebody to talk to that wasn't Corbyn, and Corbyn was great. Like, he's the best to talk to somebody about things like that, but I needed someone else. So I went and saw my therapist, and we formed like a good connection. We worked on some skills about, you know, self-love and self-compassion. I can't remember what it's called. I think because I was high functioning, I never really realized I was depressed, and I'm not gonna lie, like, it got a lot worse before it got better. Yeah, it got really bad like halfway through the year, to the point where I would have a shower just so I could cry. This is probably a little bit too much to be sharing online, but you might realize that I don't comment or I don't interact with anybody down below, and I don't reply to people. I don't interact online It's another one of my anxiety fears. I don't know what it is. It did get a lot worse before it got better, and it was really hard for me to realize that, yeah, I can get depressed sometimes too. Moogle! Moogle's been my best friend though. It's easier to get along with animals than it is to get along with people. I've recently started taking antidepressants. Let me go and get the medicine. So the antidepressant I'm taking right now is Celapram. Moogle, you're in the way! Citalopram, which I think is like one of the first options when you first try antidepressants. Like it's the first one you try. And I'm only taking like a small amount. But I take it daily, and it made me really sick and vomit and have extremely bad headaches when I first started taking it. But I'm noticing I feel a lot better. Some days I would wake up so anxious that I would feel like vomiting the first thing I wake up, and it would continue throughout the whole day. Like I was even telling Corbin, like it's really physical. Like it physically hurts when your nerves are that shocked and you're shaking literally all the time. Like when I first went to my therapist, I was literally like crying in the doctor's center because it had taken me so long to get there, and I just did not want to go. I was just so scared. I had to talk to her about my problems or whatever. And I'm not stupid. Like my problems aren't as bad as, you know, somebody next door or, you know, a person who lives in a different country than I am, and I know that, but I think that's the stigma around mental illness, is that, you know, you have to be in a bad place to have it, and I don't actually think you do. I think it just sort of, it comes and goes, and everyone sort of feels like that every now and again. Sorry, Moogle's playing with a box. She loves boxes. She's distracting me so much. But that's the first part of the year. So I've come a long way, and I spent 6 months not taking antidepressants just because I felt like I shouldn't have to. I should be able to motivate myself to get out of it. I didn't think my problem was as severe as what it was, and it sort of kept developing, and it was to the point where like I didn't feel like waking up the next day to feel so much physical pain and to do everything that I needed to do. It just hurt a lot, so I decided I'll give it a try, and it really scared me, but I'm glad I did it. And I just wanted to, if anyone watches this, you know, it's okay to have to take medication, because I know if you don't, some people will turn to alcohol or drugs and look for that sort of relief somewhere else, and I'd much rather feel relief in, you know, like a happy little pill that I take regularly from my doctor than, you know, looking for happiness with alcohol and drugs and addiction or anything like that. So I'm just going to end it there because I don't want to ramble on too much. It's probably going on for like 10 minutes now anyway, about my anxiety, depression, mental health. But to clarify, it has nothing to do with my veganism. I think veganism makes me happy, it makes me feel healthy, I feel positive about my surroundings, my actions, what I'm doing, my morals, everything like that. But, so I don't think it's related or correlated with my vegan. Moogle! You're so naughty! You're so naughty! 2 years ago I went swimming in the Whitsundays to see the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. And anyway, the scuba diver who was like instructing us was like, sometimes you can hear the whales if you blow your nose under the water. And since I was little, I'd always had ear problems. I hadn't had ear problems for about, I want to say 14 years. I think it was like 10 when they sort of did a little operation and they fixed it up. But I had chronic middle ear infection. Anyway, he said pop your ears underwater and you might be able to hear the whales. So I was snorkeling, having an awesome time. I decided to pop my ears underwater, and I knew that letting water into my ears was always a bad thing. My mum drilled that into me ever since I was a kid, but I really wanted to hear the whales, so I did it. Turns out, couldn't hear the whales, there was no whales nearby, and let me just go and move Moogle for a second. Moogle, you little naughty bum. Anyway, I came back, and about 6 months later, I felt like my ear was blocked. My right ear was sort of like, it felt blocked. I felt like there was a lot of wax in it, and I was putting drops in it trying to like get it out. And I was like, what is this? It feels weird. So I went to my doctor's about it and she assigned me a specialist to go see. Long story short, I went to see one specialist and he told me, look, you've got something similar to what my mum has, which she's got a couple of ear problems as well. And they said they wanted to go and get an MRI of my whole face. Anyway, so I go and do that. Mind you, this is costing like $300 per visit to the specialist. So yeah, it cost me an arm and a leg. But anyway, I go back to this original specialist and he's like, whoa, you need to go to another specialist. And this is all before I went to Japan and Korea, which will be uploaded later on my channel. And I was like, oh my God, okay, why? And he's like, it's pretty urgent and I want you to see this other ear specialist. I'm like, okay. So they booked me in to see him the next day and he stays with his specialist open for an extra hour to see me with my ear problem. And at this stage, I'm just thinking, oh, there's a big piece of wax in it. Like they're going to give me antibiotics and we are going to be all good. Anyway, apparently the waiting list for this specialist is over a year long. And ironically, my mom was going to see this specialist when she had the accident and she'd waited a year to see him. So plot twist. But anyway, I go and see the specialist and he shows me my MRI. And I think I'm going to need to get a pen and pencil for this because I need to show you. Anyway, he shows me an MRI of my ear. And I've drawn like a little picture here, so I don't know if you can see it very well. Anyway, I can't tell if this is in focus or not, so forgive me if it's out of focus. So this is like a normal ear, a little earring here for context. So then you have like your outer ear, which is normally where things get waxy and scratched up. And then you have this little black line here, and that's your eardrum. And then from your eardrum inside, there's like a couple of bones and like that's your inner ear. So the infection occurs in here. This long string here, I'll get to that later. So he showed me that and that's like all good. That's my left ear and he's like, it looks great, it looks fine. Your hearing is very good out of it because I had a hearing test as well. And then he shows me my other ear and I have no idea what it means. There's just like a big clunky thing and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And he was kind of like, this is not normal. This is kind of like cancer. This is his words, like Arx Corbin. He said, you've got a growth in there. It's kind of like cancer. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I'm literally almost in tears because one, I'm already terrified of like surgeons and shit. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of like cancer, but it's also kind of like skin. So like, you know how you cut yourself and then the skin will grow over it? Well, that's what's happening inside my ear. And it just keeps growing over and growing over because skin doesn't stop growing until it reaches other skin. But it's inside my ear, so it doesn't reach anything. There's a hole in my eardrum and it's like growing. And anyway, I'll show you the picture of what my ear looks like. So here's the ear. Here's the inner ear canal. And then you've got the eardrum in that little black line, and there's like a hole in the eardrum there. And then it grows up past over the bones and then all into these little wedges. And they don't go into those wedges unless they've been there for a long time. The surgeon told me it had been growing in my head for 10 years. Now, I went into this surgeon thinking that there was a bit of wax. So you can tell I was freaking out when he was like, yeah, there's a growth that looks like a tumor and it's in your ear. But it's not cancerous, but it's kind of like cancer. Oh my God. Anyway, then he shows me, this is what scared me the most. He's like, see that like little thin line there? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, that's the base of your skull. The problem with these things is that if it sits in your head for so long, it starts eating away at the bone. I'd say it's already eaten away at the bones inside your ear and it's just growing up everywhere. There's your like cyst or whatever it is, like skin cancer growth thing. It's sitting underneath the base of your skull. If it's in there any longer, it can eat up into your skull and into your brain and cause an abscess. If you have an abscess in your brain, you could die. So I was really scared. I don't think I've been that scared about too many things in my life, especially when it comes to me and my health. But I just came home and I cried. And he was like, we're going to need to have an operation. I have to let you know about the warnings of the operation. And he said, they're going to cut open my head and they're going to take all of it out because it's just skin, right? And they'll take all of it out and they'll stitch it back up and check in 6 months. But they said there's a small chance that this little thing here, that line thing that I showed you earlier, that's a nerve that runs right near your ear canal and it is your facial nerve. And they said that, like, he's the best specialist and he's been doing it for 30 years. But if they hit that, my face will be paralyzed, like permanently. Like, I won't be able to use any muscle in my face. And that was really scary. And I know that it's a small chance, but this, coupled with my anxiety, coupled with my extreme fear of hospitals, it's not like a good combination. So I have to go into surgery on the 7th of December. I want to film it all. By all of it, I mean bits and pieces. Apparently I'll lose taste on this side of my tongue, and he said that I have incredible hearing for somebody who has a growth like this in my head, and he said it's probably because it's vibrating on my eardrum, but once they take it all out, I will certainly lose at least most of my hearing in this ear. And when they go back in 6 months, they can try and fix that. But that really upset me because I don't like to not hear, and I've had my mum and she's been going deaf for years. And I've just noticed what a struggle it is for her, and I don't want that to be a struggle for me. I don't know if I mentioned, I studied psychology in year 11, so it doesn't make me that smart, but your ears are attuned to certain things. So your right ear is attuned to language and sound, just language and words, whereas your left ear is attuned to music and like beats and abstract sounds. This is because they connect to different hemispheres in your brain, and like this is sort of your logical your creative hemisphere, and this is your logical hemisphere, and they crisscross. I don't know if I explained that right, but it means I'm going to struggle hearing sort of language. And in case you didn't know, I'm studying Japanese, so the 2 hardest courses at my uni for Japanese I have to do next year. I was already struggling with it to begin with. I get a lot of anxiety with it. So having to do it without any hearing is going to be hard. I'm terrified of hospitals. I'm terrified I'm going to wake up halfway through. And I know it sounds so dramatic, and I'm terrified of losing half the function of my face. But, you know, that's just the truth. Like, I'm scared. Anyway, he said that the surgery has to happen within 3 months. And yeah, so I'm going in on the 7th of December. I'm going to film it, mostly because I think it's going to be hilarious when I come out of the operation room, because they have to numb half your face anyway, so I won't know if like I have any nerve damage or whatever for days after. But yeah, they're going to just cut off the nerves in my face, and that happened to me like a few years ago when I went to the dentist, and laughing was so funny because half my face would be dumb. So I want Corbin to film that for me. But basically, I'm gonna have like this huge scar in here. They're probably gonna have to shave my head, and they have to cut into my neck. So I'm gonna lose like my neck muscle, like I have to rebuild it or whatever. But that's yeah, the benefits of turning 24 and losing half your hearing. So yeah, that sucks, but I will keep you updated with it. Staying positive, I'm always thinking the worst though, because I'm dramatic, but everyone's telling me I'll be fine. And I have a special surprise for you. They will be arriving tomorrow night, but I'll probably upload the video on a different day. Very excited. That's all I'm going to tell you. Alright,